How are we all feeling today? Thank you guys again for tuning in. You guys are the best stream in the world. Welcome into Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Henley. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. It's much appreciated. As always, let's dive right into today's topics. First, I want to start off by talking about a current Philadelphia Philly, kind of recent addition last offseason, and that is Jesus Luzardo. Now, Jesus Luzardo, we all know he kind of had an up and down season with the Phillies. They traded for him before the season from the Miami Marlins, and then he really got off to a terrific, just excellent start. Really came out of nowhere for the Phillies, and he was tremendous for the early parts of the 2025 season. He was right up there as a nationally Cy Young candidate, really one of the favorites for the first couple of months of the season. Then he had some rough starts, especially two in particular that I remember. One, he allowed like 12 earned runs, and then the next one wasn't too great either. So those kind of ballooned his numbers for the season. And then he kind of settled in, had some hiccups along the way. And then as he got down towards the end of the season, really started to dial back in and look closer to the guy that he looked like in the beginning of the season, which was a good sign. And then obviously he pitched well for the Phillies when he had his opportunities in the playoffs against the Dodgers. But Jesus Luzardo recently was talking about he's heading into a contract year, if you did not know so. So 2026 is his last year under club control. He's due for an extension here with the Phillies, or obviously will be a free agent after the season for any other team to sign. But Jesus Luzardo was recently talking about his contract year and hopeful reunion here with the Phillies on a new deal. And he wants to stay, or at least seems like he wants to stay with the Phillies, or at least saying that he wants to stay with the Phillies long term. Again, last year under his club control, he did agree to an $11 million contract to avoid arbitration with the Phillies this offseason. So he'll be making $11 million in 2026. Definitely in for a payday on this new deal, whether it's with the Phillies or another team after the 2026 season. And Jesus Luzardo, quote, said, "I'd obviously love to be a Philly for a long time. I had a great time last year talking about 2025. I really love the organization and the clubhouse." He went on to say, quote, "I didn't know what to expect really going into a new organization like that, but it did kind of exceed, just like seeing how the organization was run, the guys in the clubhouse, the fans in the stands, everything just kind of, I don't want to say caught me by surprise, but it was very refreshing to see that, and I really enjoyed it." And then he went on to say, quote, "I haven't had any conversations with them talking about the Phillies and his contract negotiations about that, but in terms of how much I love Philly, I had a great time." So Jesus Luzardo saying all the right things here as he heads into his contract year. Seems like he really enjoyed his one season so far in Philadelphia. Can't wait for this upcoming season in 2026. Hopefully he can kind of stay consistent all year long and not have a great start, have some bumps in the middle, and then kind of be more so towards how he looked in the beginning, but still not fully. Hopefully he can just put it all together, have one long, good, consistent season, and be really a number 2 caliber starter here in the Phillies starting rotation. He's got the skill set to be able to do it. He's got the stuff. He's got everything you like out of a pitcher. He's a strikeout pitcher, as we all know. He can throw pretty hard. He's got some good movement on his pitches. He's got the mentality as well at times. Really just locked in there. So if he's going well, that's a really good addition to the Phillies pitching staff, and hopefully they can get something done with Jesus Luzardo, especially after moving on from Ranger Suarez this offseason. There is no room for Ranger Suarez, as I've said multiple times throughout this offseason. Just didn't make sense. He's older than Luzardo. He's another left-handed pitcher. They already have Sanchez and Luzardo, both lefties. Andrew Painter's coming up. Zach Wheeler's coming back. Aaron Nola's obviously signed long-term. So there's no room for Ranger Suarez, especially on that deal that he got from the Boston Red Sox. But that means you have to kind of keep Jesus Luzardo around, who again is a couple years younger than Ranger Suarez, also a lefty, maybe even more talented than Ranger Suarez overall. With everything when he's going good, obviously Ranger Suarez is a great pitcher, really good under pressure and all that good stuff, really great playoff pitcher. But Jesus Luzardo has a higher ceiling, in my opinion, as a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. So I think the Phillies have to get this extension done with Jesus Luzardo, hopefully sooner rather than later, so we're not into some contract saga next offseason or heading into the late parts of the season, and then he can be free to sign with any other team. Hopefully the Phillies can get something done before that happens. Again, Jesus Luzardo started the season really great with the Phillies in 2025. He was 5-0 with a 1.95 ERA through May 20th this past year. Had those midseason struggles, as I alluded to. Finished the year strong the last 2 months or so of the regular season. And again, in the playoffs when he pitched, he looked pretty good as well, especially in that Game 4 loss to the Dodgers when he came in. He did a great job there out of the bullpen for the Phillies. Obviously, didn't end the way we would hope with Orion Kirkland coming in for him in relief, but that's the way it went. He had a 2.35 ERA with 8 strikeouts in 2 appearances, including 1 start in that NLDS versus the Los Angeles Dodgers in the postseason. Again, bullpen appearance in Game 4 in that loss. He allowed 2 hits and 1 earned run with 3 strikeouts in 1 2/3 innings pitched in a very high leverage, high pressure situation out of the bullpen late in the game against the Dodgers with the season on the line. So that was good to see out of Jesus Luzardo again. Orion Kirkland came in for a relief there in the 11th inning with that runner on and all. And we all know how that ended up with the just botched play, hit back to Kirkring. Don't even want to think about it. The Phillies lost, as we all know. Let's get that out of our minds and move on to the 2026 season. But Jesus Luzardo, again, started the season terrific, finished it pretty strong in the regular season and into the playoffs. Had a little bit of struggles in the middle of the year, but overall, very good season out of Jesus Luzardo and a lot to build on for him heading into his second year with the Phillies in 2026. He did finish, despite having some of those midseason struggles, some ups and downs along the way. He still did finish 7th in 2025 National League Cy Young voting. Remember, Christopher Sanchez, the other Philadelphia Philly, he was the runner-up for the National League behind Paul Skeens of the Pittsburgh Pirates this year. Zach Wheeler was also in the conversation despite missing some time there at the end of the year into the playoffs with his diagnosis and surgery and all that he had to end his season. But again, Luzardo was an early season favorite, one of the favorites to win the Cy Young, still finished 7th place, so very good. He's still 28 years old, left-handed pitcher. Ranger Suarez, he got a 5-year, $130 million contract from the Boston Red Sox this year in free agency, so I expect Jesus Luzardo, his next contract to look very similar to that. Maybe even a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. Who knows what his market really truly looks like. But again, that's kind of the number or in the kind of years and contract that I would kind of think that he's going to be in the range for. Again, I think he's got a little bit more potential and a higher ceiling, especially being a little bit younger than Ranger Suarez. And with the strikeout potential, he's a guy that can get you 10 strikeouts or more each start he has. So, yeah, I think he can make a little bit more than that in free agency, that compared to what Ranger Suarez made this year. Hopefully the Phillies can get something done, though. Again, he does seem focused on helping the Phillies win and prioritizing his health for the 2026 season. He did turn down offers to pitch for both Team USA and Team Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic this year. So he is focusing on this 2026 season. He is focusing on the Philadelphia Phillies and trying to get this contract and be healthy to be able to land the contract that he wants. And hopefully it's here with our Philadelphia Phillies on a new deal. Switching gears a little bit, I talked about this the other day or last week, whenever it was, when the top 10 right-handed pitching prospects per MLB Pipeline were released. The top 100 gets released on Friday, I believe, this week. But recently, the Phillies did have another top prospect on their next positional group that dropped here as we get closer to this top 100 countdown here for MLB Pipeline for the 2026 prospects in Major League Baseball. Arun Escobar is the latest Philly to be in the top 10 for his positioning group. Escobar, he was ranked as the 7th second base prospect for the 2026 season per MLB Pipeline in their rankings. He's got a lot to like about him. You probably heard of him. You probably haven't heard of him as much as Andrew Painter, Justin Crawford, Aidan Miller, the Phillies' top 3 prospects. But Escobar offers a lot. He's a young kid, 21-year-old, right-handed infielder. He's international. They signed him out of Venezuela back in the 2022 international signing period. He's their number 5 prospect right now per MLB Pipeline, primarily a second baseman, but he has had some experience at third base and shortstop as well in his minor league career so far. 2025 was Escobar's first season playing above the rookie level in the Phillies farm system. He played in 3 different levels. He played in single A, high A, and with double A, Reading the fight in Phils there at the end of the year. He batted .270 with a .361 on base, .413 slug, .774 OPS, 13 doubles, 4 triples, 15 home runs, 62 RBIs, and he had 24 stolen bases in 120 games across those 3 levels in 2025 in the farm system. He had the most success at single A, which is doesn't come as much of a surprise. Obviously, a little bit of the lower level and kind of easier competition. Not easier, but you know what I mean. Not as high level of competition that you're facing as you get closer to the major leagues, and especially Double-A, where he ended up at the end of the season. He only did play in 5 games in Double-A at the end of the year, so not a big sample size for him there, but he should be there this year in 2026, and if he plays well, the Phillies have a lot of hopes for him. Obviously, the MLB pipeline, all these experts have a lot of high hopes from him as well, being the number 7th ranked second base prospect heading into the 2026 season. So he's got a bright future ahead of him. He's still got some things to work on, a lot to put together. Again, he's just 21 years old, so he's got a lot of room to grow, but he's got a lot of exciting things to like. He's got a plus arm and power potential here offensively, so that's what you like to see out of him. Again, 24 stolen bases, maybe not like known for his speed, but he can steal bases and can be aggressive there, which is good as always when you're on the base pass trying to make some things happen there for your team. He is now the 2nd Phillies prospect in the top 10 at his respective positions. Again, Andrew Painter, he was among the right-handed pitching prospects for 2026 in the top 10. He was ranked number 4. Third basemen are released here on Tuesday. Phillies most likely won't have any in there that I believe. Shortstop tomorrow on Wednesday, Aiden Miller will definitely be on that list. We'll see what kind of ranking he has. I'll be talking about it here when that drops. Outfield on Thursday, Justin Crawford, he should be on that list as well. And then the full top 100 prospects for the 2026 season by MLB Pipeline will be released Friday. And obviously the Phillies will have a couple of names on that. So that's always good. You obviously want to have these young guys and you want to have a bright future for your organization, especially with an older team like the Phillies at the major league level. So it is exciting that the Phillies are going to have some of these young guys up on the major league roster this year in 2026. But it's also exciting to see, and within the next maybe 2 or 3 years, a lot of these young guys could be making a big impact for the Phillies at the major league level. So get familiar with some of these guys because they could be playing at Citizens Bank Park, their home games at the big league level for our favorite team, the Philadelphia Phillies, as soon as this year in 2026, maybe next year in 2027. But the future is coming, and it's exciting, especially, obviously, us being used to having a lot of these older players for quite some time now. Speaking of older players, speaking of additions that the Phillies could make, should the Phillies sign veteran outfielder Starling Marte? Now, this is kind of a topic and a player that I probably isn't going to be very popular among Phillies fans just because of his age, but he's still a pretty solid player, and at this point, it really doesn't feel like the Phillies are going to make a splash move, especially after missing out on Bo Bichette. As we all know, not really many other options out there that makes sense for them. I talked about Cody Bellinger and Eugenio Suarez as being kind of the 2 other top options right now, but both don't really make too much sense for the Phillies' current configuration of their roster to sign and invest so much money into. So you might have to go for, they're still reportedly looking for another right-handed hitting outfield bat to platoon with Brandon Marsh, who's a left-handed hitter out in left field. Obviously, Brandon Marsh isn't really suited to be an everyday outfielder as much as the Phillies wanted that to happen, as much as he wanted it to happen, as much as the fans wanted it to happen. He just really can't hit left-handed pitching. So the Phillies are trying to get a right-handed bat to hit against left-handers there in left field for the 2026 season. Starling Marte checks that box. He is 37 years old, so he is pretty old for baseball terms, but he is the right-handed hitting outfielder. 2-time All-Star as recently as 2022 with the New York Mets, 2-time Gold Glover. Not really his strong suit at this point with his age and some injury history as of late, but he does have some prior speed and elite defense in the past. Again, not really a strong suit anymore, but he's still solid in those categories. More of a designated hitter and bench/platoon kind of guy these days, especially being older and dealing with some injuries, as I mentioned, in recent years. He did bat, though, .270 with a .335 on base, .410 slugging, .745 OPS with 14 doubles, 9 home runs, 34 RBIs, and 7 stolen bases in 98 games this past year in 2025 with the Mets. So a pretty solid year for the old guy, Starling Marte. Again, nothing crazy, but he is a platoon kind of guy. He is a bench kind of guy at this point in his career. So those numbers right there are very solid if you're having him platoon with Brandon Marsh there in left field as a veteran presence. He also has 25 career playoff games. So obviously as a playoff caliber, World Series caliber team like the Phillies, you want guys who have been to the postseason before, especially if you're signing a veteran, just so they aren't, they don't crumble under the bright lights. They've been there, they've experienced before, and 25 games is a decent amount of games for any player at the playoff time, playoff atmosphere. So that's good right there for Starling Marte. And again, not really known for his speed and defense anymore, but Starling Marte is the MLB active leader here among all active players in triples and stolen bases. So there's that for him that he's got going for him. likely will just be a one-year deal. In fact, Spot Rack had him at about a 1-year, $7.8 million contract projection for the 2026 season. I think it'll be likely in that range, 1 year, $6 to $8 million range for Starling Marte if the Phillies were to sign him. And again, he would be your right-handed hitting platoon option to go with Brandon Marsh in left field. Although the Mets, they have reportedly and rumoredly have interest in bringing back Starling Marte as a DH option this offseason, so they might have to fight with the Mets to sign him if they do choose that route, but it's an option out there, just throw out there. I don't think I talked about him this offseason yet, and I've talked about a lot of guys, so I just wanted to give that option out there for you guys to think about and to have on your radar just in case he ends up being a Philadelphia Philly this offseason. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Phillies Daily. I'm your host, Mike Kennelly. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Much appreciated as always. Stay tuned for more Phillies content here every single day. It's awesome to talk to you guys about our favorite team, the Philadelphia Phillies. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, go Phils.